Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. No matter what time of day it is, I'm here on the new way. This is Dr. Lenny Time, and I'm going to talk to you for at least a few minutes because otherwise there was absolutely no reason to open the chat room. On the other hand, there's always reason to open the room, and just because something doesn't happen in real time on our timeline doesn't mean that it doesn't happen on other timelines that have similar narratives but differ in the scope and scale of what's actually going on. Dr. Time realizes that time is not a chemical function, but rate is. And the rate at which reactions take place is somehow dependent on this fundamental concept called time that doesn't seem to be true in the way that it has been taught to us. Time is captured in calendars and in clocks and in mechanisms that have breadth, by which I mean that things like the cesium atom, on which the atomic time clock is based, has a vibration that inhales and exhales, just like when we breathe, we inhale and exhale. On human scale, it's important to be able to use your breathing to calm yourself down. The technique I use is Fibonacci breathing, and I inhale for a count of a Fibonacci number and then exhale for the count of one less than that Fibonacci number. So if I'm inhaling to 8, I'm exhaling to 5. If I'm inhaling to 13, I'm exhaling to 8. If I'm inhaling to 21, I'm exhaling to 13. And realistically, that's the limit that I can draw inhales and exhales to. And it's much harder to exhale than it is to inhale. Although I'm sure people who have good breath control can get up to 34 and 21. And I'd love to give a challenge to see if anybody can make it to 55 and 34, but not me. I'm very dependent on breathing. And if you're in a real jam, you can do it with 2 and 1 and just go and be all of a sudden in a different mental state under your own control. So Fibonacci breathing is just one of those things that you can do to take yourself from human scale to nature scale without actually having a change of scale. Now, I've talked about human counting and natural counting before. Natural counting follows the Fibonacci 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21. And human counting follows, well, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But if you take the meaning of the count of the numbers, nature has 21 at-bats to every 8 that humans have, but it doesn't change until you get past 5. The first 5 numbers in the sequence, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get you to the same place in the same amount of time. So remember, time keeps on slipping into the future. And so we're going to fly like an eagle to the sea and listen to some really good Steve Miller Band. Unless, of course, that's not your presence. You could always welcome back my friends to the show that never ends. Come inside, come inside. But realize nothing is real So there's nothing to get hung about. And if you're into commercials instead of music, you'll understand when I say sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you feel like you just got screwed because your Mounds bar didn't have the almond. What can I say? It goes the way it goes, and if it changed any other way, it would go the other way and not go how it went. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, things are charmed and strange in the up and down world. Um, Top and bottom are included, but back and forth are not. And so I think the physicists are pulling our legs. And I know the physicians are pulling every other part of our body. And I'm not sure that anything is real enough except that we make it real by coming to grips with ourselves and what we portray and what we see. So Dr. Lenny Time lives on atomic scale. And the one thing that's consistent between atomic scale and human scale is that at both scales, water is water. A single water molecule is an extremely small compound on molecular scale. Everything in biochemistry is hundreds to thousands of times bigger than individual single water molecules. And the organic structure is fused with water molecules, maybe to the point where there's 70% water and 30% organic structure. I'm going to be talking later this week with Stellium 7, Mike Wilkerson, and Analog, his friend Ben. And between the three of us, we're going to try and explain some things that we've seen in nature that don't seem to have physical chemical operations. This live stream will be presented either Tuesday or Thursday. On Monday, I'll be talking to Upcycle. And he's a friend from the Grim Grizz channel. And I'm not 100% sure where that conversation is going. But once again, I guarantee that it will be going, unless it's not. And if it's not, I'll be there anyway talking. That's tomorrow morning, Monday morning at 9 o'clock my time, and what would be 3 o'clock Upcycle's time. So that's another thing to put on your calendar. And meanwhile, I've been talking to lots and lots of people, and I want to get this StreamYard working in tandem so that we can broadcast multiple streams on different channels, not necessarily all YouTube channels, but it depends on how the programming works as to whether we'll be able to do it properly or not. So I've had my 10 minutes worth of time, and that's all I really wanted to spend today. So let me say good day, and I wish for all of you to be well and to be well. So I'll catch you another time, because time keeps on slipping into the future, and you can't catch me when I'm running in time. Be well, be off.